Chapter 16. Case File SIO2. Chapter Wrath of Art. Confess. Case closed. Yai and Kim journeyed to the gallery where the exhibition was held. They presented a badge to show authorization to enter the crime scene. Once they got in, they scattered to go over and interview the staff here. Have you ever seen this man come over here? Now Kim was probing the janitor while showing her the picture of Anand to take a look. The middle-aged woman peeked at the picture and wrinkled her brows together. This man looks familiar, but I have seen him somewhere before. The auntie lifted her gaze to answer and frowned contemplatively. I remembered that he seemed drunk and staggered in Mr. Whitepod's room. I was cleaning nearby and overheard the sound of them arguing so loudly, so I rushed away. They had an argument? Yes. Other than the sound of their argument, did you hear anything else? The middle-aged lady formed a thoughtful expression before ruminatively answering. I think that I heard the dropping sound. Kim nodded in acknowledgement, stretched out to take the pictures back from the cleaning auntie, and said thank you. He then pressed call to Yai, asking if Yai had any progress. Once he knew that the other party was checking a CCTV, he followed Yai there. Upon arrival, Kim saw Yai talking to the staff. Kim approached to catch up with them with a question after knowing the details. "He walked off by himself?" asked Kim. The cleaner had told them that they were in a heated argument, and there was a dropping sound. Kim didn't think that a man could walk off just fine without any scratch, just like this. Yes, that day after he met Mr. Wypodge, he just walked off the room, the staff answered. After hearing the story, which matched the one from Kim, Yai tipped his head. He asked the staff for the video files recorded from every angle between the 12th and 14th of the month to forward them to Thongtai. After receiving the video files, Yai and Kim reviewed the surroundings together. They made their way back to the back of the gallery building while they sifted through unused wood scraps and 4x3 timbers, but found nothing out of the ordinary. So they decided to head back to their car. Kem swiveled to follow Yai, but accidentally stumbled on a wooden rod, causing the soil to scatter and staining his shoes. He let out a sharp cry. Jerk, watch your step! Yai complained and lowered his gaze to Kem's shoes. However, Yai himself stepped on the small bloodstain on the concrete. Kem, step back! Yai ordered. Kem, who was busy brushing the soil off his shoes, now stepped back from where he stood. Yai bent over to pick up the wooden rod and raked away the pile of soil. Then he lifted his gaze to Kem, who was as well looking downward to meet his eyes, startled. Got to give full credit to your clumsiness. That led them to the primary crime scene. Upon hearing what Yai said, Kem broke out a laugh. They both quickly pressed to call Mr. KJ to look over the primary crime scene, which they messed up quite a bit. DSI office. Everyone gathered in the conference room to discuss the evidence they had just received from Yai's and Pius' team. In the meantime, Dong Tai was analyzing the footage on the CCTV that he had, summarizing it to everyone. Well, after interrogating White Podge, what do you think, Singh? He didn't lie about not knowing where the dead body came from. Singh was quite certain since the other party's demeanor confirmed it. Also, according to the victim's defensive wound, KJ confirmed that Wypodge couldn't do it to that point. He's pretty old and chubby. He didn't have much strength. to punch a nun to that point that can cause bruises and bone fractures all over the body like that. Mm, Moreover, the CCTV on the 12th tape showed the picture of a nun walking out of his room safely. Tong Tai hit the button to show the footage to everybody. If he didn't do it, then who? Cam murmured. One more strange thing is, even though everything took place in the gallery, the CCTV couldn't capture any picture of the criminal. The point is, how could he contain a nun's dead body inside a coffin? Not to mention having to lift the sculpture too. Dong Tai remarked after checking the video, but hadn't seen the picture of a nun since then after he left Poch's room. Check all the staff's profiles. Only the staff knew and remembered every corner where CCTV was installed, Hajime said, and everyone nodded to agree. Tong Tai retrieved information for everyone. The files that Yai provided were not only the video files, but also the staff's information that the gallery owner was willing to share. Or the criminals are more than two? Tarn voiced. Who the hell would have that much strength to do this alone?
Maybe they can if they are huge and tall enough, because Anan was only 170 centimeters tall and rather thin.
Kaya said in a neutral tone. But as far as I've seen, no staff were that huge. Tong Tai was scrolling his mouse to see the picture and the staff profile on the projector screen. Everyone possessed a shapely or rather thin figure. When PI and Mr. Kim interviewed the staff, did you find any suspicion? Yai shook his head while answering Singh. I couldn't find anything from the staff. Their answers matched and had their alibi at that time. I've checked the CCTV and their statement aligned with the picture and the footage. You have already asked the staff, and have you asked the gallery owner yet? Tarn raised the issue. Everyone else felt like the rust had been knocked off their brains. A light lit up inside their heads. That's right. There are two gallery owners, Ajima voiced. Tongkai knew his job and quickly retrieved another gallery owner's profile. In fact, he was just a partner. He visited the gallery only a few times. If it was this man, could it be possible, Paya? Ken turned to ask Paya after Thong Tai showed a picture of a solid bodybuilder. Paya gave a slight nod to Ken.
Is he the last one left to ask?
Sin pivoted to ask Yai. I didn't see him when we were there. Call them in for interrogation, Ajima commanded, and all the men knew their duties. Tarn and Paya needed to see Rung Nawat, 28 years old. He was a fitness trainer and a gallery partner, and Baworn Wet, 28 years old, the gallery owner. Call them both for interrogation. Copy. Tarn and Paya were tasked to bring Rung Nawat in for interrogation, while Yai and Kem were tasked to bring Baworn Wet in. I'll check the CCTV in detail once again in case I find more information. Tong Tai offered. He felt suspicious about the CCTV, so he wanted to recheck it if there was really nothing more.
I'll probe on Poch and the deceased's mother again for more information to check if they know Baworn Wet and Runawat or not.
Ajima nodded to Singh, and everyone spread out to do their own task. Jim H. Do you go to the gym often, Paya? Tarn figured that someone of pious nature must hit the gym regularly. Paya took a glance at Tarn and said lightheartedly,
Not quite. I usually exercise at home. It has everything, not much different from here.
Tarn wrung his mouth, feeling yucky at his subtle bragging. Two undercover cops strode into the gym, where sporty men in tank tops were exercising with full diligence. The gym enthusiasts must have strong determination and steadiness to stay here for hours.
Don't look too much. They might be buff but not good in bed.
Kaya whispered to Tarn. Tarn glared in response. I'm looking for room na what? If you don't want me to look, help me find him then, said Tarn and winked at Kaya. Kaya smiled in satisfaction and no longer teased the other person. After sweeping through for a moment, he saw Rungnawat wiping the sweat in the corner.
There.
Kaya poked Tarn to follow his sight, then weaved through the crowd to the men lugging water. Once Rungnawat saw them, his brows furrowed. What's the matter? If you want a trainer, Kaya showed the badge to Rungnawat.
We're DSI officers. We would like to bring you in for questioning. What question?
He asked in confusion. Tarn squinted his eyes, looking at Rungnawat. Questions about the dead body inside your gallery.
And what is it about me? Sorry, detectives. I have some other things to do.
He said, and suddenly picked up a bag to carry on his shoulders. Then jostled through Tarn and Paya in a provoking manner. That was then Tarn caught a strange smell from him. The smell was just like one in the coffin. Tarn grabbed Rungnawat by the arm to stop him from leaving. I figured, if you're sure that you have nothing to do with it, you should come with us to prove your innocence. Rungnawat swooped back to Tarn and sent a mocking smile.
I wonder if a skinny cop like you could take me. Let's use the stage to judge it.
He said while motioning to the boxing ring.
Alright,
Kaya responded.
I'll box with you.
Something fright poked Tarn in his sense. He leaned over to whisper to Paya. I'll do it. He could sense Paya was endangered.
Give it to me. You can't handle it.
But
So, who's going to be my opponent?
Rumnawat crossed his arms asking,
It's me.
answered Paya before wriggling his arm from Tarn's grip. He walked up to the boxing ring, took off his jacket, and handed it to Tarn. If you can't handle it, leave right away, Tarn said with concern. Paya nodded in acknowledgement and put on boxing gloves while Rumnawat signaled for the volunteer to be their referee. After they found their referee, Rumnawat put the boxing gloves on and said with a confident smile,
Just so you know, I'm not going to pull my punches, detective.
Kaya said nothing, his focus locked on Rumnawat's every move, as he ducked a series of punches a few times. Once Paya found that his opponent was open to body shots, Paya unleashed a direct punch on Rumnawat's midsection, knocking him off the ground, gasping and blinded. The roar broke out from the crowd. They didn't think the game would end this soon, since Ronawat was considered a decent boxer in the gym. Thus, being defeated by this shapely cop was quite surprising since there was much difference in strength compared to their body size.
Those who only think of using their strength can only go this far. Be a man of your word. You must follow us to answer our questions. Don't forget what you said.
Tarn smiled in relief, looking up at Paya, and was about to hand Paya's jacket back, but Tarn caught Rumnawat advancing him. Paya! Paya was unprepared, so he was hit hard by that dude. Tarn abruptly climbed up the ring and pulled out this madman who was as strong as an ox to stay off Paya. But the man seemed to have completely lost his mind. He was so enraged that his face reddened and hurled both Tarn and the referee scattering in different directions. Once he could get rid of the disturbance, Rumnawat bolted to Paya like a bull saw a red rag. When Tarn could stand firm, he charged to lock him by the neck and kicked the muscleman's knee pit until he kneeled on the ground. Paya levered himself up. His face was so ferocious that it exuded a pitch-dark aura. He proceeded to Rungnawat and threw his fist to land on that face at full force before the man could beat Tarn. You! You cheater! Runawat glared at him through bloodshot eyes. The blood seeped out from the corner of his mouth. His anger rose to its peak, wanting to tear Paya to pieces for shaming him in public.
Why just stand there? Lock him up.
Everybody darted to help according to Paya's order. Tarn put Runawat in the cuff and took him out of the gym in a slightly savage way. Maybe no, pretty extreme, because Paya pointed the gun at Runawat's waist on her way out.
If you keep resisting, I'll shoot you up here.
Paya gnarled under his gritted teeth, thrusting his gun to his narrow waist even deeper, while shoving him inside the car. It was not a threat. He was true to his every word. Tarn could neither laugh nor cry. Paya seemed to be fuming at this time. DSI department. Now everybody was watching Runawa through the mirror and analyzing his appearance quietly. Singh addressed.
He seems to be overly angry.
Confirmed by the bruise on Paya's face, Tarn said impassively while Paya was icing his mouth's corner.
People who often go overboard with anger fall under the behavioral disorder. The stages of its intensity are labeled with the letters C, T, and D. C stands for concerning behavior, which should be watched closely. It can escalate to T, or threatening behavior, then go beyond D, or dangerous behavior.
If we add this circumstance to our case's overall image, Runawat could be the real bad guy for this matter, not Wipodge. Tarn continued.
What is his motivation for doing that?
Kaya questioned. It seemed like he was irrelevant to this issue, like the outsider of the outsider.
I asked Mr. Wipodge. He said Rungnawat is his fanboy.
Fanboy? Kim reiterated. Couldn't believe his ear. Did this brawny dude like this kind of art too? We couldn't judge a book by its cover, indeed,
Yeah, a fanboy, like a die-hard one.
said Long Tai while opening his Facebook page and scrolling it to everyone.
This is his page. He created it specially to flatter Wipodge.
Everybody formed a yucky face. Ajima let out a sigh. Who will interrogate him? Because it would be too hard for Singh to pull it off.
Eh,
Yai volunteered as he deemed that there would be only him who was up to the task. He was good at it. Do keep up with a professional manner, Ajima underlined, fearing that Yai would be too frivolous, that he would fail the task. After Yai entered the interrogation room, the rest listened silently while Singh kept feeding the questions through the earpiece to Yai to probe him.
I don't fucking answer. Don't give any fucking testimony. A prick like him deserves to die. If you have questions, talk to my lawyer.
It's him! Tarn stood firm to his opinion. When Runawat exposed himself that much, it couldn't be anybody else. We can't conclude anything just yet, until we examine the testimony, said Ajima while letting out a long sigh. She ordered Singh to tell Yai to stop grilling him by now before they got into a real fight.
The CCTV couldn't capture him too.
Kim murmured, full of strain. Dong Tai laughed. Who told you? The CCTV could capture him clearly. Dong Tai pressed enter for everybody to see the footage he got.
On the 12th, Runawat visited the gallery to congratulate Wipodge. Even though the CCTV couldn't capture him when he was inside the gallery, this car,
He pressed pause for everybody to see. It captured the license plate so clearly. Kim was elated. The camera could catch him while he was taking the ramp at the entrance. Although it was just a partial front of the car, it was still precise enough. So lucky.
aha, this is Runawat's car.
Tongtai showed the team Runawat's information window to compare the license plate number in the CCTV footage. It was surely his car, but it still isn't evidence to arrest him, just a corroboration that he was at a crime scene, Ajima said in dismay. But it's still good that we find this evidence. Ajima paid Tong Tai a compliment. Tong Tai nodded in acknowledgement. He was actually well aware of it. It was better than finding nothing, anyway. I've got an idea to make him admit his crime, Tarn voiced. Ajima crossed her arms, doubtfully asking, "What is your plan then?" "I will interrogate him," Tarn said with a smile, but kept his plan a secret. It was a piece of cake. If this guy blew a fuse easily, then we lit up that fuse. But before he got in, they needed to be prepared and readjust their questionnaires. Tarn turned to ask Singh. "Singh, have you ever doubted that what could drive Runawat so crazy that he harmed Anand to death?" Singh frowned, deep in thought, after hearing Tarn's words. Those who can get extremely angry for the other person means that he must be so important to him. Hmm. And why Podge is important to Runawat? Singh pivoted to Thong Tai to find out if they had any other relationship more than just a fanboy. In less than 10 minutes, Thong Tai came up with a window to enter the details, reading for everyone. Upon hearing, Tarn revealed a smile. What would it be if he knew the one was his father figure betrayed his faith? Singh looked at Tarn and flashed a smile. Ajima could get Tarn's hint. She placidly ordered, "Go for it." For the lawyer matter, she would halt them herself. Tarn gave a smiley nod. For the one who boiled up too easily, just boil him up, and he would definitely spill his gut. Haya whispered to Tarn, "Be careful." Tarn nodded in acknowledgement. Their behavior came to Yai's notice. He managed to suppress his doubt, waiting for the right time to grill on Tarn to define the status of theirs. Tarn entered the interrogation room and plunged himself onto the chair opposite Runawat. That dude stared at his face, making a cheek bulge, shaking his legs. Tarn sat tight, staring back at Runawat, mimicking his behavior without saying anything. Runawat looked at Tarn questioningly, stopped shaking his legs, then shifted his sight to another direction. A smile twitched at the corner of Tarn's mouth. "Before talking to you, did you know we had talked to Mr. Bawarnwet earlier?" Their doubts suddenly resolved when they asked Bawarnwet whether Runawat also had access keys for every doorway. They both were friends, and when they became business partners, they must have equally shared everything, including the other gallery owner, who should own another set of the keys. "We asked Mr. Bowenwet if you have ever been so mad that you beat someone up until they were just short of dying." Tarn scrutinized Runawat's demeanor and saw that his ring finger twitched. He went on, "Mr. Bowenwet said yes. Those people were harmed by you out of your anger, including his friend. He also said that each time you lost your cool with him, he almost couldn't stand it and wanted to stay away from you, but he felt sympathy that you have no friends. So he felt the need to remain a friend with you." Rona Watts looked back at Tarn. Those eyes flickered with infuriation. "Get out!" He wouldn't listen to anyone or say anything until his lawyer came. Tarn picked up a photo and placed it on the table for Rumawat to see. "Why did you lie to us that on the 12th you weren't there at the gallery?" That picture showed the part of his car that Thong Tai had found. Tarn picked up another picture that Ajima told Yai and Kim to find a shop where Rumnawat had brought the kerosene, camphor, and charcoal. Those kinds of stuff were used to kill the dead body's odor under the Lady Justice statue and avoid people's suspicion of the strange smell. "This is the picture from the convenience store opposite where you bought kerosene, camphor, charcoal, and other stuff to kill the odor. What did you buy them for, Mr. Rumnawat? Tarn got this picture just now. Kim and Pi found it for him according to Thong Tai's idea.
Get out!
Rumnawat snarled. I was a temple boy before. I knew all too well what those stuff were for. For killing the body's odor. Tarn was so afraid of corpses back then, so Luangpor sent him to work with Uncle Undertaker. That's why Tarn was certain about the scent he had perceived from Romawat. And I could smell it from you. People had a different scent of danger, and Tarn, who possessed the extrasensory ability, could sense these signs so accurately. Rumnawat's eyes blew wide, looking at him startlingly, turning to a cynical laugh.
What the heck are you talking about? Get out! If you have questions, just wait for my lawyer and ask him, because I have nothing to do with this shitty murder in the least bit.
Tarn's eyebrow twitched. You're saying that Mr. White Podge has something to do with it?
Runawat shrugged. The one in the fight should be the one doing the crime, shouldn't they?
Tarn curled up a cold smile. How did you know that they were in a fight? Runawat flinched. Tarn continued. Oh, you might not know. Otherwise, you'd be very sad that your idol had betrayed your trust.
What do you mean?
Mr. Whitepodge already confessed that he took credit for the deceased's painting as his own, especially the one that helped him win the national artist kind of thing.
Liar! What kind of shit are you talking about?
That painting belonged to Anand. His mother has every evidence to back up that he was the real owner, not Whitepodge, the thief.
Mr. Whitepodge didn't steal it.
Lunawat shouted to protest with bulging eyes. Want to see the evidence? Here it is. Tarn placed the phone on the table for the other person to see the clip that Miss Mani, Anand's mother, had recorded when Anand was painting the picture. Mr. Anand was the one who painted this picture. This picture that he fought over to own belonged to the one who knew.
That's not true! Mr. Whitepodge insisted that he painted it with his own hand.
That day he witnessed it. Mr. Whitepodge affirmed, with a sad expression, that he was disappointed in his pupil, who planned to steal his work of art. I know why you worship Mr. Whitepodge this much. That's because he funded the scholarship for you earlier, right? That's why you're so angry at Anand, who claimed
Mr. Whitepodge never stole anybody's art.
he killed the wrong person because the real painting owner is Mr. Anand.
No! You're lying! Call Mr. Whitepodge for me. I'll talk to him.
He's already left after we've checked that he isn't.
No! Before I was here, he told me he would wait to support me. He's a good man. He helped other people. He helped me. He did it a lot for society. But that brat was a prick all by himself. He did it all by himself. He was drunk as a skunk, screwed himself up, but blamed it on the others.
Rumnawat bolted up on his feet and protested with a harsh tone, and a face that turned blood red. His hands were quaky, ready to advance Tarn, but he was held back by a couple of other police officers.
I was on my way back home, and that son of a bitch got in my way and yelled at me like an uneducated loser. Like Mr. Whitepodge told me, he was a brat. Even though Mr. Whitepodge kept supporting him, he was still evil to Mr. Whitepodge. The clip that I've just seen, he edited it, right?
It wasn't edited. We've checked it, Tarn told him calmly.
That's not true. Mr. Whitepodge painted it. He painted it himself. Stop your shitty lie. You're saying that I beat the wrong person? I didn't beat the wrong person. He butted himself in. He butted into the mess with me first, and he deserves to be beaten the shit out of me. He dared to sully Mr. Whitepodge, so he deserved to die. The Lady Justice will be the one who judges that he is a shameless scum, ungrateful to his teacher.
It seemed that Rumnawat lost his mind. The painting clip of a man might shock him to an excessive degree. His conscience jammed up while letting all the truth flow out of his mouth. His eyes gleamed with bafflement, regret, and anger alternately, fearing he might utterly go insane. Tarn let the officers press Runawat down the chair, stopping him from berserk. For Tarn himself, he left the interrogation room. He saw a lawyer standing with a rigid face next to Captain. Tarn sent him a smile in a friendly manner.
You all have violated the law.
Mr. Lawyer said in a stern tone. He had been here for a long time but was halted by Ajima. "You're trying to help you. If you kept helping him, you'd stain your own name."
It's not over yet. See me in the court.
After finishing his work, he stomped his feet away. "Is it going to be okay, Captain?" Ajima sighed. "Just be complaint, nothing serious. It's better than letting the bad guy get away with it." She admitted that the law process could not hand the victim justice sometimes. In this case, she couldn't do anything. When all the evidence was so obvious, how could she let him go? "I'll be right back. Tell everyone to wait inside the conference room. You can summarize the case before me." "Yes." Ajima decided that the wonderful news had to be shared with Miss Mani by herself. Once the real murderer was arrested, Miss Mani, who was reported by Waipoj for making an attempt for his life, he now withdrew his case out of shame. He did it right away once he knew he was the cause of everything, and it was likely that he couldn't return to his artistic life like he used to have, since the thing he had done crushed the lives of two individuals into shattered pieces. The day Waipoj visited Rungnawat for his apologies, Rungnawat almost wrung Waipoj's neck to death. Despite the anger from being assaulted, when Waipoj saw his fanboy who defended him all along, his guilt multiplied. He was resolute in finding a lawyer to help Rungnawat out of his utmost needing to fix his wrong that no act of right could ever mend. Rumnawat, on the other hand, once he calmed down, confessed everything about his unintentional killing of Anand. The two had fought in a rage. Anand lost the fight and got knocked down by his punch. Anand fell to the ground, hitting his head on a wooden rod with a nail and losing consciousness that he no longer regained his conscious state. Rumnawat saw the other person lying sprawled, so he checked Anand's breath. It was likely that Anand was no longer breathing. He became paranoid that someone would discover he had committed suicide. He moved Anand's body to hide it behind a woodpile and thought about how to conceal the dead body. But Anand lifted his hand, causing Rumnawat to panic. Since he feared that Anand would cry for help, he used a nearby woodpile rope and then strangled him to death. Once Anand was dead, Rumnawat, afraid of being imprisoned, hid the corpse and kept his lips sealed. Rumnawat provided details about how he hid the corpse inside a wooden coffin. On a fortunate day, a transporting car from an outside company delivered the wooden coffin and parked it at the gallery's rear. While everyone was diligently loading items inside the gallery, Rumnawat took advantage of the situation. He carried the corpse on his shoulder and placed it inside the coffin. Rumnawat took off his blood-stained jacket, leaving only his tank top on it, and hid the jacket in the woodpile, planning to retrieve it later. When the workers returned, they mistook him for one of their own and involved him in marking the locations of pieces of art. As he entered the gallery, Rumnawat asked a genuine staff member for a cap to wear because the weather was scorching. The staff found the request reasonable and gave it to him without suspicion. It became clear that when they had to lift the wooden coffin, Rumnawat volunteered to assist them, to prevent everyone from opening the coffin. After placing the coffin and putting the Lady Justice statue on top of it, Rumnawat let out a sigh of relief. Since the organizer took charge of preparing the exhibition, he kept a watchful eye to see if anyone would attempt to open the wooden coffin. When the staff called for his help, he occasionally assisted them to avoid drawing attention to himself. Fortunately, the organizer did not open the coffin and instead covered it with fabric according to their plan. Lumnawat felt at ease and waited until dark. Once he was sure no one was there, he drove away from the gallery. The next day, fearing that the corpse would start to smell, Rumnawat bought deodorized items to place in the coffin. He planned to purchase the coffin after the exhibition was over for future reuse and then burn it, thinking this would ensure that no one would ever discover his crime. But unexpectedly, someone opened the coffin. Everything went out of plan. Tarn typed to summarize the crime case report inside, lifted his hand to stroke on his face, and leaned on the backrest. He was unlucky to be chosen by the lockjaw to make a report while everybody else was either playing games or reading a book with ease. You guys have to run your errand anywhere today? Ajima faced up to ask everyone. Feng Tai raised his hand. I need to pick up my brother. Oh, good. Then bring your brother to join us, Ejima said with a smile. Today, I'll treat everyone to a celebration for closing the case successfully. Everybody simultaneously shouted in delight before helping each other bring up the menu. Most of the ideas for selecting the restaurant came from Kem and Tarn. The female captain smiled at the sight ahead of her. Working with these men wasn't as bad as she had thought. Even though they were stubborn and violated the rules sometimes, it was still not more than she could tolerate. Ajima wrote their daily behavior report, pressed save, and then joined the men to help them pick out the restaurant. End of chapter 16.